Well, boys, there was a crazy match in Newcastle this weekend. So who better to bring on than to break it down than Joel? Joel, welcome back, man. What's up?
What's going on, guys? Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Let's get into
Welcome.
it. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League. My name's James. I support Arsenal. That's Brad. He supports Chelsea, and I think there's a Charlotte FC kit down there. That's Joel. What's up, Joel? He supports Newcastle. And then down below, right beneath me tonight, is Sean. He supports Tottenham Hotspurs. Boys, let's get into it. Lots of stuff happened this weekend. So if we're just going to get right into it. If you're new here, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment, share it with a friend. We'd really appreciate if you could help us in all those ways. But as we like to do here at Red Card Radio, we are going to get directly into the results. Weekend kicked off, Spurs hosting Wolves. That game ends in a 1-0 victory for Spurs. Everton hosting Nottingham Forest. That game ends in a 1-1 draw. Leicester City hosting Southampton. Southampton get the 2-1 victory. Fulham and hosting Brentford. Barn burner in the west of London. 90th minute winner from Fulham. They win the game 3-2. Crystal Palace hosting Villa. Patrick Vieira gets the 3-1 victory over Steven Gerrard, something that probably happened. Actually, I don't even know if they played against each other. I'm sure they did. Bournemouth, yeah, they did. Bournemouth hosting Arsenal. That was not good for Bournemouth. Arsenal get the 3-0 victory. Very comfortable there. West Ham hosting Brighton. Brighton get the 2-0 victory over West Ham. Might need to talk about West Ham. Things are not looking good for them at the moment. Leeds hosting Chelsea.
You can skip it. We can skip it.
Oh, okay.
No, Newcastle City was a draw.
Leeds beat Chelsea 3-0. Like Brad said, Newcastle hosting City. That game ends in a 3-3 draw. And then in the big one, arguably the biggest match in English football, Manchester United, Liverpool from Old Trafford. The game ends 2-1 to Manchester United. Erik ten Hag gets his first points, his first victory as a Manchester United manager. All on the back of the signing of Casemiro. Brad's holding his hand up. Brad, yes. What would you like to say, Brad?
Point of correction. It's his second victory against Liverpool. First in England, but second victory against Liverpool as Manchester United manager.
You know what I meant. Was that all you were going to say? You weren't going to gloat that you got the score prediction right?
Oh, yeah. It was totally written in the stars.
Okay, so we're coming back.
It's totally written in the stars. We'll get back to that, though.
All right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to quickly pull up this league table just so everyone can see. As everyone can see, at that first position, Arsenal on top. 3 wins out of 3, 9 points.
It's just alphabetical.
Manchester City are in second. Leeds United are in third. Tottenham Hotspurs are in fourth. Brighton and Hove are in fifth. Newcastle sixth. Be happy if it could stay there that way, right? Fulham are in seventh. Brentford are in eighth. Crystal Palace ninth. Nottingham Forest 10th. Southampton 11th. Chelsea are languishing in 12th. Aston Villa are in 13th. United are in 14th. 15th is Bournemouth. Liverpool are down to 16th. Everton are in 17th. And in the relegation zone, if we really should call it that, 3 match weeks in, three games in, Wolves are in 18th. Leicester are in 19th. And West Ham, having yet to pick up a point, are in 20th position.
Go ahead and give us the winless group.
Yeah.
Liverpool, Everton, Wolverhampton, Leicester, West Ham.
And if anyone thought that I forgot, Will, I know you were waiting for this. The league table doesn't matter until at least 10 weeks in. This is a formality. This is a waste of time because everything is so volatile. But now that I've gotten that out of the way.
Only comment I'll say is I will not lump Newcastle into this because this is probably exactly where they expected to be. Maybe more points. They would expect to have more points. But how happy are Leeds and Fulham to have 7 and 5 points this early and just get some points out of the way to start chugging away to make sure they stay up? Like Leeds, maybe less so, but Fulham, they made a couple of signings, but they didn't do a Nottingham where Nottingham are selling. They're mortgaging the future to make sure they stay up. Fulham just kind of made a couple signings here or there.
We could start there with Leeds and Chelsea, just because that's kind of a good segue to get into that.
Yeah.
Because
Leeds having 7 points through 3 games. I think if you would have told them that at the beginning of the season, they'd be like, F yeah.
I mean, they certainly weren't looking at the schedule and seeing Chelsea in match week 3 and being like, that's going to be 3 points.
No.
And 3 goals.
Right? So,
No,
Brad, what happened up there at Allen Road?
I don't know what Mendy was trying to do with the ball. Kick it. Kick the ball. That's like
Goalkeeping
it
101.
kind of just unraveled. Yes, and it just kind of unraveled from there that first half, and then they hit us right back quick with another goal. Where okay, I'll admit it, Joel. You're here. I'll admit it. Reese got dunked on for that goal.
He did.
He did, but at least he was there. Trent would have been like at the 18-yard box.
Okay.
Hey.
And then the second half we did look better. The second half we actually played with some hunger. They had one chance on goal, and they scored it. So like
the Ben Mee goal for Brentford on United. Lisandro Martinez was there. Like, so that's basically what you're saying?
But Reese jumped too. Like the Lisandro Martinez couldn't do it. Lisandro Martinez was hanging on.
We'll get into Lisandro Martinez in a minute, but
well,
how? I mean, clearly.
Do you think,
yeah, go for
Brad?
it.
I'm gonna hijack this because do you think, Brad, that Tuchel himself and the players that are on Chelsea don't know that this is a rivalry because they didn't play like it? I think Leeds definitely played like it, and the fans definitely felt like it. I don't know if Thomas Tuchel himself. I'm sure they know it's a rivalry. Do they know it's as fierce a rivalry to a point to maybe put it in the top 5 in England?
You might be right.
Do they just not know it's a rivalry?
I don't know. I don't know. But the
Joel,
Pensioners
could you
came out to
speak to
play.
that?
They gave this away.
It's a big rivalry. Chelsea just
It's a big one.
Chelsea just played like they just didn't care.
No.
Yeah.
Believe no credit away from Leeds. They were so good. Like the first goal with Mendy's mistake, sure, howler, but Aronson chasing, like he lost the ball, then he just goes chasing him down, like he didn't stop. Like, don't take anything away from Leeds. They were really good.
They deserve that win 100%. Maybe this is our stinker match for the year. Got it out the way early on.
Sure.
So,
so just
hopefully that's what it is.
Just riding high from here. Just goals and wins here on out.
Get it out of the way.
Of course.
Brad's always looking for the silver lining. I appreciate it.
I have watched all 3 by happenstance. I've watched all 3 Leeds games this year.
Yeah, we have.
And I will repeat what I said last week. Aronson's good. Like he has earned that starting spot, and he is continuing to show that he's earned that. He's freaking good, man.
He's playing for World Cup minutes.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
100%.
It seems to me like he is making his case to get onto that U.S. men's national team. So.
I think, I just don't see how he's not the first on the page, even with Kristen Pulisic.
I mean, at least one of those guys is playing, right?
Pulisic got in all 3. I think on at least 2 of the 3 games he got to play some.
Got to play some. That's not good.
It's not
good.
but hopefully now, hopefully Havertz is on the into week 4 and week 5.
Okay, so this is actually an interesting question about Chelsea. Like, what do you just chalk this specific result up to a fluke, and that you guys should have gotten 3 points against Spurs? In your mind, as a Chelsea fan, you're like, I should have gotten 3 points against Spurs. This is a fluke game, and I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me scroll down and see who you guys have next week. You guys have Leicester, and you're like, okay, we just move on to Leicester. This was a fluke game. Are you concerned at any level right now as a Chelsea fan?
Like you said, it's match week 3. No, I'm not.
Conte's injury doesn't have you concerned at all?
No.
Okay.
I don't think you concern yourself. If I was a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't be. You had a hard-fought game against Tottenham that I didn't say on the pod, but you should rightly have had 3 points against the
and Kovacic is back. Kovacic was took part in the open training today, so Kovacic is back.
And then you get punched in the mouth by a team that didn't inform you that it was a rivalry.
They
Like
came
it
to
just
play.
happened. Yeah,
Okay,
it happens.
I just want to check. I just want to check. Let's keep moving north up the country. Let's do you want to break down this Newcastle City match, Joel? How
Yeah, what
tell
a
us about
game!
it. Yeah, right.
Had everything. VAR, goals, like free kicks. It was amazing. I mean, so City scored early on, and I think everyone's expecting like, oh, City scored in the first 5-6 minutes. It's just going to be 2, 3, 4, maybe. Who knows? But from that moment onwards, Newcastle bullied Man City for most of the game. I mean, I watched the whole thing. I really think Newcastle bullied them, and not many teams can do that and will do that. And so we went into the break 2-1 up. Well deserved. At one point, I sent Brad a picture of this. It was like last 5 minutes possession. Newcastle 94%, Man City 6%. Like, who does that against Man City for any amount of time?
Yeah.
Like, the transformation in Newcastle was like unreal. Second half, Trippier's free kick was just like unreal. So good, like pinpoint. He's like the best right back in the country right now, right? Best English right back. Trent's not started too well. Reece hasn't started too well. Trippier's.
I don't know.
I'm just
started just
White?
fine.
Ben White.
Oh,
he's a centre back, isn't
Ben White. He's been playing on the right.
He's been playing right back. The first 2 matches, he's been playing right back for Arsenal.
Saliba kicked him out. Saliba said, "Get out."
Saliba's a freaking baller, man.
But
we'll get to that later.
So Newcastle 3-1 up, and everyone's like, "This is unbelievable!" Like 3-1 up against City, atmosphere is bouncing. But then De Bruyne is just you can't. No matter how much you bully Man City, like the quality comes through.
That De Bruyne pass to Silva for the third goal, like there's like 2 or 3 more obvious passes that De Bruyne could have made, yet he picked that one out past 4 Newcastle players. Like when I saw that, I was like, it was just. My jaw hit the floor. I'm still kind of speechless about it because it was just kind of it shows his ability to just see everything in advance of it actually happening
before it unfolds.
Yeah, that's what separates like the top echelon players from the people below them, is that he is just able to see something happening and it just completely unlocked Newcastle's entire defense and just cut them apart. It was an insane pass.
So good.
Is a great way to put that, because he knows if I move the ball this way, the defense is going to react in this way, which will open this pathway. And I saw it freeze framed from the moment like his foot is made contact with the ball. I still don't even see the pass.
Yeah.
Like that's the level he's on, of he's leading to a place where he knows that his player is going to be if he makes that pass.
I mean, clearly Silva and De Bruyne have played together for many years,
sure.
So like they know each other, and that's super important, right? But
and it's a pattern of play too.
Certainly, but just the ability to see that and then execute it, because the pass had to be like placed perfectly for it to be there,
precise and weighted correctly.
Yeah,
it was amazing. But 3-3, I think, was a fair. I mean, I'm happy with the draw. I mean, it kind of feels like a defeat in a way because we were 3-1 up, but 3-3 home draw against Man City, like we can't argue. Amazing atmosphere.
So coming into this match, would you have estimated that like this feeling that you're having now? Had you even thought of like you feel disappointed at getting a point against Manchester City, right?
Yeah, no, that didn't cross you much. You kind of hope you can scrape a 0-0 or a 1-1, but like 3-3 is like the entertainment factor. Yeah. Like that's a quality game. Like so,
we hadn't even touched on that Trippier should have been sent off.
No, he should. It was a yellow card. It was
that was a red for being dumb.
It was. I think it was actually a really smart tackle because De Bruyne is running at the defense.
Like, what's more dumb, a professional foul or yanking someone's hair? What's more dumb?
I don't know. One was called a foul and one wasn't. So I don't know what the other one you're referring to was.
True, that's a fair point. Yeah,
Trippier probably just saved Newcastle from probably conceding another goal. So I think it was a smart move.
I think the thing about it is it looks really bad. When you first look at it, it looks really bad. But when you see the contact that he actually made, now if De Bruyne is a half step in front and his studs go into the side of his knee, then it's an entirely different conversation. But because of the way that like Trippier actually made contact with him, I don't think it's a red card. It looks a lot worse.
He trips him up. That's it. He just clips his knee. That's all.
Like the top of his laces hit the front of his knee. And like it looks a lot worse than it was. Now it reminded me of match week 3 last year when Granit Xhaka was sent off against City for kind of a similar tackle. I forget I forget who he fouled. Maybe like Cancelo or someone like that, or not. I don't remember who he fouled, but it's very similar where he goes, he jumps a little bit, gets his studs up, but the studs don't actually make contact with the player, and the side of Xhaka's foot hits the side of the City player's like ankle shin area. And because it's Granit Xhaka and he has a perception, he's perceived in a certain manner, and he's not English, he gets sent off. Kieran Trippier doesn't have that perception, and he's English, so he gets a little more deference, probably.
I don't know that the English has a part. John Joe Shelby would have been sent off for something like that.
Yeah, that might be fair. That might be fair.
I did, before we move too far, I did tell you guys that Romero has got to be careful because he is heading down a Granit Xhaka path if he keeps his mean streak that he's got. I enjoy it, but he's gonna get on a referee short list.
Yeah.
Of players you have to watch every time they challenge because he's gonna get quick yellows if he keeps playing the way he's playing.
Should we shift gears? Should we maybe mosey over to Manchester and
talk about what was written in the stars?
Talk about Manchester United. Okay, yeah. So we need to eat some crow here. First of all, we need to let everybody know there was an additional prediction that was made for a scoreline. Again, I will recap for everyone. I said it was going to be. Wait, did I also? Okay, no, I'm excuse me. Okay.
1-3.
Yeah. I confused myself with my nomenclature on this. Okay, so Brad accurately predicted 2-1. Congratulations, Brad. Well done. Blah 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 blah.
Thank you.
Sean predicted it would be 4-0 to Liverpool. I predicted it would be 3-1. Liverpool. I think Joel, you did text us a prediction, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna see.
It was similar.
Yeah, it was similar.
I would have had Liverpool win him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so Will hit us up in the YouTube comments, and Will, this is his exact quote. He said, "Not sure how Brad picked United. I'm gonna split the difference and say 4-1 Liverpool." I don't know how that's splitting the difference, but we were. He thought we were all wrong.
He took your goal for United and then put Sean's goals for Liverpool.
Yeah, probably.
So he combined them. But yeah, everybody was wrong but me. Of course. Like this was like the perfect storm for United to get this win. And the fridge was on the bench.
Yeah. Harry Maguire not playing, I think.
Did you see Varane back there?
Maybe I should say Varane playing was a big. But I think we've all been saying Varane needs to be playing.
Varane was organizing, was yelling at people, getting like moving bodies.
I would say Liverpool were awful.
Dreadful.
Terrible.
So like Van Dijk for that first, Alexander-Arnold and Van Dijk for that first goal was shocking.
What are they doing?
Like, awful. But Van Dijk just stood there and watched. So did Trent. Awful.
I mean,
everybody knows you can get behind Trent. Everybody knows to beat Liverpool, you attack behind Trent.
So bad, and nothing Liverpool did worked. All that, especially in the second half, nothing worked.
It seemed like the only play. It seemed like their mentality, and we always talk about Liverpool because mentality monsters like Jurgen Klopp has them playing at such a high level with such intensity. It seemed like they just thought we're gonna roll up to Old Trafford. United are shit. We're gonna bang 3 past them and go home and call it a day. And it's just we're getting we got hard done against Palace, blah blah blah. We should have beat Palace, we should have beat Fulham. We're finally gonna beat United. It seemed like they rolled up and were like, this isn't really a game. And so they showed up on a Monday night and they didn't have it looked like the only players that showed up to play were Luis Diaz and Harvey Elliott. In watching that match, those were the only ones that had the appropriate level of intensity. Where if you compare that to Manchester United, their entire 11 had the appropriate amount of intensity.
I'd throw Milner into that as well for Liverpool. I thought he put a proper shift in,
Okay, I could see that.
and he was getting at his own players as well.
I was going to say there's a very prominent clip floating around of Milner getting after Van Dijk.
Yeah,
and I don't think a lot of Liverpool fans were expecting that either, because you don't expect anybody to get after Van Dijk because he normally holds his own.
It was more than once as well. It was in the second half too.
Yeah,
he got at him a couple times. Van Dijk was awful.
I don't know where his head's at. I've never had to question Van Dijk at all in any competition.
It was when Mitrovic dribbled past him against Fulham the first time he's been dribbled past. Broke him. Confidence is shattered or something like that.
Gone.
I'd say maybe my takeaways are with. I hate to draw this comparison, but with Ronaldo on the bench, Ten Hag's mentality can see the pitch. Like maybe
Ronaldo.
We'll need to see more of this.
Ronaldo certainly influences the way a team plays, and I think we all talked about this. At least this was one of the things I talked about last year. Was that I think that Ronaldo, for all of his goals, he hit the teammates around him because so much of the play had to be through Ronaldo. Ronaldo demands so much of the ball I don't mean demand in like a negative way, but like he just commands so much. His presence is so commanding on the pitch is maybe a better way I should say it. And they seem maybe more freed to try what the manager is asking, but they also Ronaldo didn't play in the first match. And I mean, they got just blitzkrieg by Brentford. So like, I don't know if Ronaldo playing against Brentford didn't really have an impact. I think to Brad's point, I think the bigger change was more defensive solidity in the back. And so you brought up Lisandro Martinez earlier. If I'm not mistaken, he hasn't lost an aerial duel yet this season. And you think about 5'9".
I did check tape. He didn't lose an aerial duel to Ben Mee because we had it mistaken. He did not fall down. He did not jump. I guess he thought the back post was covered. He never left the ground. He just turned around to see Ben Mee falling into the ball.
Yeah. So that one doesn't technically count as an aerial duel.
Doesn't technically count.
Yeah. But
he was not falling down though. We had that incorrect.
He looked like he was stumbling.
No, he got into a defensive position and turned.
Oh, maybe
to see Ben Mee heading it past him.
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. So
he just didn't jump. So
okay.
He did not jump though.
let's think about before the match. Think about our perceptions of these teams coming into this match. We were like, "Oh, United are in a terrible place. Liverpool are equally in not a great place, but it's Liverpool. They're going to correct it. Liverpool's not going to have a problem. United are about to lose this game, and the wheels are about to fall off the bus." Okay, so now we fast forward. United picked up 3 points. Liverpool still have yet to get a win. How do we perceive these teams now?
Still think Liverpool finish higher in the league.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't change my perception at all.
But I will say Liverpool, I saw something earlier today, a picture of their starting 11 from 4 years ago. Only 2 players different.
Yeah.
They just don't, I don't know. That's going to come back to bite them.
That is misleading though with their injuries, which I brought up last week. That this now being 3 years in a row of injury problems that you need to blame. You have a thin squad. Well, maybe that's an internal issue. That if you have injuries 3 years in a row, maybe that's something you're doing or not doing. That's not misfortune. That is something you're doing or not doing. That other clubs don't seem to have that problem.
Apparently, Liverpool fans are complaining that Klopp's only won 1 Champions League and 1 Premier League title in 8 years, and it's time for him to go. Maybe he's the reason why they're all injured.
Hey Joel, how'd you like 1 Champions League and 1 Premier League in 8 years?
Be quite nice. We haven't had one of each in ever, so yeah, that would be nice.
I think you could sign me up for if Mikel Arteta gets us one of each of those. I think I would. I'll take one. I'll take one of each in the next 8 years.
I feel like that's like a benchmark for Chelsea now.
It's not. You can go away. So okay, I don't think my perception of United has changed. I think it's really easy for a team. So in the same vein, if you think about last year, Arsenal versus Spurs in at the beginning of the season, I think it was like match week 5 or 6 when Arsenal beat Spurs at the Emirates. It's really easy to get yourself up for a derby, for a huge match. Like, so it's easy for the United players to be like, look, we're at home, we have to perform against Liverpool. This is the biggest game in England. Now
our fans are walking out,
which
they didn't.
Which they didn't. What I have so many thoughts about this protest that didn't happen. Anyway, but so are they going to be able to show the same grit, the same determination at Southampton this weekend coming up? That's the real question. That's the real test to me. And a lot of my opinions about this Manchester United team will hinge on their ability to perform in that match. Liverpool, I think my biggest concern with them was the same concern we talked about in the summer, is that they lack midfield depth. And I think that they lack quality midfield depth, because I think if you think about there's a shocking drop off, in my opinion, from their main 3 midfielders to who they played against United. They need some signings. I don't know if they're going to get them, because apparently they're waiting for Bellingham next year. But it's like, if this is the player you've identified and you need him, you are arguably the biggest club in England. Go get them. You have the money. Go get them. So it's kind of shocking that they're not doing it.
Will Dortmund sell though? Right? Remember Dortmund's price tag on Haaland last year?
Yes.
I just had a thought about United, about paying people so much money and then expecting them to run 8 miles after you lose a game and things like that, like Ten Hag did. Apparently, I read a report that he, after the Brentford loss, he made them run 8 plus miles after, but did it with them.
Yeah.
Which apparently made it better to the players. I don't know how that works to me, because I still wouldn't be happy running 8 miles. But that's me out of shape me. But when you play players that much, they have a sense of entitlement that they're going to play the way they want to play. And I made it to this point of my career because of doing what I like, what I'm good at, and I'm going to continue to do that whether it suits the team or not. I think there is a sense of that, of I got to this point because of how I play. And there's a sense of me in that sentiment. And I was just quickly thinking in my head, I'm going to have to do research on this. I think the only team that I've seen get away with paying players an exorbitant amount on a weekly wage and still get intensity out of is City. Because PSG are not getting that.
I don't know. I mean, like, I think that
Madrid win, but they don't get intensity. They just get quality. They get the quality that they paid for.
I think Pep is a pretty demanding manager. And if you're not,
yes, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I think that's the only club that I've seen overpay on a weekly wage basis and still get the intensity out of their players.
Okay. You're comparing them to United.
To United,
not Liverpool.
Okay. They don't on a weekly basis get intensity out of United like they got this past weekend, and even Spurs get intensity out of their players. They did it under Pochettino. Harry Kane is the highest paid player on the team. He only gets $300,000 a week, and I say only. That's a lot of effing money, but that's the high. Like, that's probably like middle of the pack on United.
Well, yeah, United just paid Casemiro, a 30-year-old CDM, $375K.
Yeah,
I think Casemiro's CV could command that much.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
What's $375K?
What's Casemiro's got? 3 or 4 Champions Leagues?
I think 5.
5 Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
How many ever La Ligas? Yeah, his CV commands that, but. That's what I'm saying. When you start to get that type of money, can you get the intensity out of the player because they have the want to?
Yeah, that's going to be the question for United.
Joel, you look like you had something you wanted to add to that.
No, I was going to say, I think it's all about the coach. I really do. I think it's all about the structure that the manager puts in place and what he demands. Because, I mean, that's their boss right there. You know, that's the players. If the players respect the manager, then they're going to put in 110%. And
yeah. I think that United's biggest issue in terms of that has been this managerial carousel that they've been going on since Fergie left. The players didn't respect Moyes, and so Moyes didn't get the results, and so they got rid of Moyes. They brought in Van Gaal, And if they had done what Van Gaal had been a proponent of, then United would be in a different position. But they didn't. They go to Mourinho, essentially.
Who proposed the same exact thing.
Who saying the same thing as Van Gaal, and he loses the locker room or whatever, the dressing room. And then they get this player-friendly manager in Ollie, and again, then the players just dominate him at the end. Go to Ragnick, who was clearly never going to be in charge.
Never.
Didn't even seem present.
The manner in which they hired him set him up for failure to begin with, because I don't think they were ever interested in him being the manager long term. They were always interested in Erik ten Hag, but they couldn't get ten Hag, so they're like, someone needs to coach the team, and it can't be Ollie anymore.
We're going long here,
Yeah.
but I thought the pretense was that they wanted him for football development and to hire a manager, and then essentially they couldn't hire a manager, so he stepped in. I thought that was the pretense.
No,
I don't know.
He was like head of recruitment in Moscow, and then they hired him to be a manager.
I think
part time.
I think
with the idea of him becoming a consultant.
I think my larger point is just that they've had this managerial carousel, and you can't compare United yet to City. I mean, Spurs kind of have been on a managerial carousel as well, but they've been. Conte is an authoritarian, and you're either going to do what he wants you to do, or I think he might actually physically murder you. That's and so
and then he bounces.
So I don't know. I think if they give Ten Hag the time to establish himself, that this United team in 18 months will be very different than today. So, but we're like Sean said, we're getting along here. So that's where we're going to end it on United and Palace. Of course, there were a lot of other games that took place. Can't get to all of them, but not Palace. Excuse me, United and Liverpool. I looked at I said my notes say pool, and so my handwriting is trash. So POL looked like Pal. It doesn't matter. United, Liverpool. I apologize. So this is what you get if you're new here and you're still listening. Definitely hit that subscribe button. As always, you can hit us up on Twitter. I am at James Tiffany. That's at KS Bradg. That's at Joel Finley 16. You hit him up on Twitter. All you Newcastle people, follow Joel. And then down below, that's Sean at Whiteheart_Sean. Hit us up collectively at redcard_radio. Leave us a YouTube comment what you think, and we would love to be able to talk about it next week. Make sure to keep checking back in all week because we got content rolling out every morning this week. So definitely keep checking in, and we'll be back with the next one. Have a good one.